Hello everyone, welcome back to Statistics.Education. If you are new here, be sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell icon to stay updated with our latest videos. In previous video, we discussed about data and its types. Today, we are diving into types of data collection methods. So let's get started. Now let's take a look at the topics covered in this video. First, we will explore the different types of data collection methods. Then we will talk about direct inquiry, its advantages and disadvantages. And finally, we will discuss indirect inquiry, its advantages and disadvantages. So let's start the video by learning about the types of data collection methods. The types of data collection method are of three types. First one is direct inquiry. Second one is indirect inquiry, and the last one is method of questionnaire. In this video, we have covered direct inquiry and indirect inquiry, while the method of questionnaire will be covered in the future video, and the link of that video is given in the description down below. Now let's understand what is direct inquiry. When a researcher himself or an appointed enumerator gathers data by personally visiting the field, it is known as direct inquiry. Here you can see a researcher and her colleague collecting data from workers at a mining site. They are conducting a direct inquiry as they are personally visiting the site and gathering the data from each worker directly. Now let's understand this with the help of an example. Suppose a car manufacturing company introduces a new product, such as an electric car. Now they want to know what customers think about this car. So they plan to visit car owners in various locations and through direct inquiry, they want to ask them about the car and its features. This type of inquiry allows the car manufacturers to gather information about the customer satisfaction, their experience with the cars, their preferences, their opinions, and reviews. These details are essential for the company to make cars that can satisfy customers to the maximum extent. In 2019, Tata Motors conducted a direct inquiry to gather the customer feedback on their newly launched electric vehicle, the Tata Nexon EV. I hope this example will help you in understanding direct inquiry. Now let's learn about the advantages of direct inquiry. The first point is data accuracy. The data is collected by the researcher himself or the person appointed by him. Thus the data gathered is highly accurate and reliable. The next point is doubt solving. The researcher or the person appointed by him is collecting data by having face-to-face conversation. Thus, they can resolve any doubts of the respondents at any time of the inquiry. Next point is additional information. Meeting the respondents allows the researcher to gather some additional information which is not part of the research, but such information may be useful if needed in future. The next point is beneficial in small field of inquiry. In smaller fields of inquiry, face-to-face inquiry is particularly advantageous. It ensures reliable responses and allows the researcher to establish a personal understanding, which is beneficial for gaining deeper insights. The next point is indirect questions to obtain data. Indirect questions can be effective when the respondents are unwilling or resistant to provide direct answers. This method, also known as social engineering, involves framing questions in a way that encourages responses indirectly. Moving on to the disadvantages of direct inquiry. The first point is costly. To conduct such inquiries, enumerator must be hired or trained, and they also need to reach the respondents, making it an expensive method. The next point is time consuming. Enumerator must meet the respondents and gather the data through a face-to-face conversation, making it time-consuming method. The next point is untrained enumerators. If the enumerators are untrained, they may find it difficult to gather the data accurately, potentially omitting details and compromising data accuracy. The last point is bias of investigator. If investigators are biased, they may collect data unfairly, potentially skipping certain geographical areas, age groups, or other aspects, which compromises the reliability of the data. Now let's move on to indirect inquiry. When an intermediary or third party gathers data on behalf of investigator, it is known as indirect inquiry. Here you can see company with experts who gathers and manage data on a large scale. They are expert in conducting indirect inquiry. Now let's understand when the indirect inquiry becomes necessary. The first point is when the direct source of data is not available. The second point is when the data collection is to be conducted for a very large scale. The third point is when there is less amount of time and there is urgency of the data. The fourth point is when the data to be collected is very complex or complicated and requires skills to gather. And the last point is when the cost to gather data by investigator or enumerator is too expensive. Thus, in certain situations, it is necessary to conduct indirect inquiry. Now let's understand the indirect inquiry with the help of an example. Suppose an e-commerce firm want to gather data regarding their services. Thus, they decided to hire an intermediary firm which is specialized for gathering data. They conducted the data collection on a large scale and gathered all the necessary data. The intermediary firm has expertise to gather and analyze data. Thus, with the clarity of experts, the researcher can utilize the resources effectively. They have advanced tools and technology which is used to collect data from even larger scale and analyze such data for deep insight of the collected data. In 2016, Flipkart partnered with Kantar to leverage their expertise in data analytics and consumer insight for enhancing their business strategies. Let's learn about the advantages of indirect inquiry. The first point is broad scope. When the field of inquiry is large, using a third party is more suitable because they are specialized in conducting such extensive research. The next point is engaging non-willing respondents. Engaging respondents who are not willing to answer can be time-consuming and difficult. Hiring intermediaries helps to deal with such scenario more effectively. The next point is cost-effective. The cost to conduct inquiry on a large scale can be high. Hiring an intermediary with the expertise in the field can comparatively reduce the cost. The next point is time saving. The intermediary has all the tools, resources, and knowledge necessary to conduct the inquiry, which saves the time for the research. Moving on to the disadvantages of indirect inquiry. The first point is prejudice or bias. The intermediaries might have biases towards certain aspects like geography, age, and gender of the respondents, which could influence how data is collected and interpreted. The next point is dishonest intermediary. The dishonesty of an intermediary leads to less reliable or less accurate data and poses a risk to the reputation of the investigator. The next point is privacy concern. When the data is collected by a third party, there is a concern that the data may not be secured and could get compromised as it is accessible to the intermediary. The next point is less control. As the data is obtained by a third party, the investigator loses the control over how, where, and from whom the inquiry should be conducted. In this video, instead of quiz, I have made an assignment for you in which you are required to conduct a direct inquiry, in which you will collect some basic information of your friends or relatives. Here I have shared some information you need to collect from them. Make sure you collect these details from minimum 5 respondents. Collect the name, gender, age, hobby, educational qualification, favorite book or movie, favorite sports from the respondents. Follow this instruction while doing such inquiry. Clearly define the purpose of the inquiry before asking questions, that it is for educational purpose only. Be polite while asking the information. Be respectful to the respondents. Respect the privacy of the respondents while asking the questions and do not force them to answer. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends and subscribe to our channel for more educational content. Don't forget to hit the bell icon to get notified about our latest videos. Click here to check out our other videos on statistics. See you in the next video.